At the international scientific base of Ний Алесунд in Spitsbergen, at almost 80 degrees north, preparations are in full swing for a unique marine research project. These giant test tubes, or mesocosms, are set to be lowered into Arctic waters to study the effects of global CO2 pollution on the marine environment.
What we see here on the pier are the floating devices of what we call mesocosms. They're used to enclose large bodies of water with all the organisms in there, and we'll use them to study ocean acidification and the effects it has on marine organisms. So we add CO2 to those water columns to reach levels which are projected to occur in 20 years, and 40 years, 60 years from now, and so on. And then we'll just observe what the enclosed community does over a period of 5 to 6 weeks.
Ocean acidification is sometimes referred to as the other CO2 problem. Our global emissions of carbon dioxide are causing the climate to change. But CO2 pollution is also altering the very chemistry of our oceans. When carbon dioxide mixes with water, it forms a carbonic acid. And even the smallest rise in the acidity of seawater could leave coral reefs, the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet, struggling to survive. But ocean acidification also threatens the very foundation of all marine food webs: plankton.
Okay, what we are seeing here is a pteropod, which can be found in the polar oceans. This is basically a winged snail producing a carbonate shell, which is our main interest, since we are fearing that the present ocean acidification may make it difficult for them to produce their shell and maybe also dissolute the shell.
The fate of pteropods and that of other elements of the Arctic's marine ecosystem are central to the current research up in Svalbard's Kingsfjord. The project, led by German research institute IFM GMR and supported by environmental organization Greenpeace, involves the biggest experiment of its kind on ocean acidification and the first to be conducted in the Arctic. The effect of acidification is strongest in polar seas, since carbon dioxide is more easily dissolved in colder waters.
Well, the oceans are acidifying, and we can measure this. We know if we continue to emit CO2 at the rate that we are presently doing, the ocean will be acidified by another 100% well before the end of the century. And this, by far, is beyond what organisms have experienced in their evolutionary history for at least the last 20 million years.
As our carbon dioxide emissions continue to rise, life in the oceans could be changed out of all recognition within the span of a single human lifetime.
The only way to avoid disastrous consequences for our marine ecosystems is to limit our emissions of CO2 as soon as possible. We all depend on healthy oceans, both for our global climate but also as a source of food to millions of people around the world. The financial investment required to turn this trend is minimal, and we need to start to act now.
The water in the mesocosms will be sampled for a period of 6 weeks and will have 35 scientists working on their data. Their research will shed more light on what is really going on beneath these Arctic waves.